Welcome back. Now, there's no denying that South African jazz has been a major international export for years, and 2022 was no different. This year, we saw the release of Thandi Ntuli's BLK Elijah and the Children of Meroë, Shane, Cooper and Mabuta for their album Finish the Sun, Tumi Mogorosi's Group Theory, Black Music, and we also saw Mthunzi Mvubu's The First Gospel. Those are just a handful of the jazz albums that were released in 2022. Now, to help us unpack the jazz albums that stood out, we have invited Metro FM's The Urban Jazz Experience host, Nothemba Madumo, and broadcasting icon and SA Radio Awards Hall of Fame inductee, Brenda Sisane. Ladies, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live. Nothemba, I want to start with you. I mean, let's talk about 2020. 2022. How would you sum up 2022 musically and jazz in particular?
You know, 2022. I know you're talking about albums that came out, which is a great thing, but they actually came out because the period of COVID provided a lot of the musicians a time to introspect. And also just go back to their creative juices, which led to the release of so many albums this year. That's why it makes it even difficult to choose. But for me, I think what's great about 2022 is that, again, at last, spaces were opened for live performances, and people could go out and enjoy the performances of the jazz musicians, whether it is in small stages or big stages or little, restaurants or clubs or wherever they may be, in open spaces. But I think what also was great about 2022 is how musicians took control of their, careers, in the sense that not only are they releasing the albums, but they are also now taking charge of the concerts and the performances and the spaces. They are now becoming their own, promoters of their shows, thanks to, some funding of, for instance, Concerts SA, which made it possible for some musicians. And that in itself became a learning curve for musicians as to what it takes to set up a performance or a concert.
Sis B, let me bring you into this conversation. I mean, what album, I know it's a difficult question, but which one stands out for you for 2022, and why is that?
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. You and Nothemba have really, taken it all, and it's possible to be in terms of just going in with those albums that are leading in this year. But they are leading simply because of their placement in the time. And as Nothemba says, because of COVID, the emergence of work has been very resonant, but and we are more attentive. But for me, it's also the conversations that are being raised and the musicians just taking charge of the narrative. Bongani Daya's Radio Sechaba is really about what's happening currently. He's questioning, the political activity about, pocketing taxpayers' monies, and he's being very, very beautiful about it. I think Billy Munama is very intentional with his work about his research of the South African guitar, and you find somebody such as Luanda Kokwana also visiting a songbook idea again, and Linda Skakani, I think, coming of age in so many ways, and actually coming up as a powerful voice. When you listen to the likes of Mthunzi Mvubu, who we've been waiting for him to come out as a solo artist on his own projects. But essentially, when you look at all of that, you also look at it almost like a relanguaging of the status quo, a relanguaging of saying that we have a culture, we're referencing the balance that is coming out from exiled music, that is coming out from what is happening around us, that is coming from our evolution as the young guard today. And then you also see Nduduzo Makhathini taking his spiritual mantra to the world, where he deeply discusses how Africans relate to music and the sonics thereof of spirituality, and how we the practices that are being erased. So for me, it's all of that. And of course, there's the excitement when somebody like Shane Mabuta takes it as a continental conversation, visiting the sounds of the guitar from different parts of the continent. So indeed, the young musicians are taking charge, but they're also defining what should be the new fight, if anything. Somebody was saying when we were having a chat yesterday that, we're back again at a time where the musicians are taking control of the conversation, or artists at large, and but there's nothing else around them except mostly themselves, pitching forward and saying this is what we want to hear. My question is always about the future as we look back to say, what do we do about this exciting phenomenon?
Mm-hmm. And Sis Nothemba, speaking about that exciting phenomenon, I had a conversation with Mandla Mlangeni the other day, and he was talking about his new project, The Future Is Now. And what kind of conversations, where is the conversation going in terms of music and the young jazz musicians that are coming up at the moment?
You know what is exciting, Lebo, is that the jazz musicians are getting younger and younger, which spells a fantastic future for jazz in terms of continuing, the legacy with generations to come. And, as Brenda was making reference to, at the conversations with jazz musicians, it not only in just compositions, is just the state of our society, the state of humanity. They are quite, straightforward and honest about the politics of the day. You hear it in Malcolm Gianni's album, in Thandi Ntuli, or even Sibusiso Mashilwane, or Hebi Twayedi, as we can expect, as Ntutuzo, Tumi Mogorosi, all the Mandisi Janchis, and all these musicians who this year have really been on the playlist of a lot of people. But that in itself says that, we've got a very conscious art world, with these musicians. When you think about The Brother Moves On, and their album, He Who Feeds You Owns You, all those are saying, hello, open your eyes, be woke, to everybody. And that for me is very inspiring for musicians. And it does breed those very conversations that you're talking about.
How are the ladies doing, though? We touched a little bit on Thandi Ntuli. I think I heard Siyamakuzeni at Joy of Jazz saying that she was working on an album. How are the ladies doing in terms of release?
I don't think. I'll just quickly say, with the ladies, I don't think they have the pressure to be releasing, because even with Thandi, like we were saying earlier on, it's something that has been fermenting and brewing during COVID, So I know Gloria Bosman has been working on something, and is supposed to be releasing as well. We're waiting for those releases. So maybe 2022 was not particularly, the year to do it for them, but they're there, and the fact that they are on the stages, for me, is what counts. People can see them, people can hear them. They're not going anywhere.
Sis B, for you?
In agreement. I think there's more the ladies are doing, besides maybe we can't even just measure them on releases. But what I like as well is that releases this year or this season is also just releases of projects that are brewing, that are inspiring the artists at the moment when they get called in onto stage. What Siyamakuzeni did recently in Cape Town as a band leader, as a scat queen, as a stepper and everything else, she put together a brilliant project recently. But some of these projects are, if you're not on watching at the bandstand, you will kind of miss out on them. They may not have been pressed yet for release, but they are coming alive on various stages, and that goes for both male and female. But as you talk about the women, I also think, the cosmology of the music itself survives because women take such different notes. I mean, I just read a beautiful article written by Spam Dlalose, who is a singer herself, So the diversity of the roles that women play, I mean, I look at what Atia Khan is doing, Gwen Ensel still sits at the top, every week churning out an article. There's a young lady called Gianetsu Makoto who writes from the Western Cape, for instance, and doing powerful work, Matseko Musito, who's also one of the new young women that are also in broadcasting, just pushing the language, so there's a lot happening that has got women in it in jazz, but that is also in the back end in terms of production, in terms of what people like Nothemba are doing, producing certain events. But yes, I think I wanted to just say that more than look at the releases, more than look at the work that is taking shape on the stages. I've seen people that are taking work as women. Somi has just put out a Miriam Makeba project, which is both a theatrical project as well as an album. So when you look at women, you then start expanding even more on the deliberate. The sense of deliberation in determining how else to be in the music. Listening to Msaki, who cannot even be categorized, talk about what she wants to do as a multidimensional artist with her Young Artist Award, also tells you the language that women are playing on the bandstand, outside the bandstand, or on behalf of the bandstand, as Gloria Bosman has also done in defining her new role as a musician and as a guitar player as well.
And what is
Maybe I can
2023?
add, I just want to add the fact that what is great about 2022, it has created even more collaborations between the musicians, and also that lockdown period provided a space for musicians to now be exposed online internationally.
Yeah.
And that in itself then created collaborations and connections that saw them this year tour the world, and, I mean, the Jews, for instance, is a perfect example that he spent, I don't know, so how many weeks just touring Europe and the US because of his projects and the and the collaborations that, were created with that, and many of the other jazz, artists who have gone and toured. I mean, even as I was talking earlier on about the Brother Moves On, also touring in England, and even local tours, where now the East London, the Eastern Cape, Cape Town, Durban, Johannesburg, those tours are happening locally for musicians, and it doesn't matter, the space, but 2022 has provided that. And I think it's just the excitement of, the gates are open, people, let's breathe, let's do,
All right. Ladies, thank you so much for talking to us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I know this is a conversation we could have for another hour, but thank you so much. I hope you spring into the year 2023 in leaps and bounds. Thank you so much. That was Metro FM's The Urban Jazz Experience host, Nothemba Madumo, and SA Radio Awards Hall of Fame inductee, Brenda Sisane, helping us zoom into the 2022 jazz albums and the outlook of 2023 that took our breaths away.